and I'm from Karavi. And Mirchi FM, it's hot.
Mirchi FM, it's hot.
In the news tonight, PM visits TCSR ravaged areas. Government takes immediate steps for rehabilitation. And AG praises resilience of Bua and Madhuwata people.
From the studios of FBC Suva, Atera Lendua.
Prime Minister Borange Bainimarama is saddened by the destruction caused by Category 5 tropical cyclone Yasa. Bainimarama began his tour of the cyclone-affected areas in Vonolebo today to see firsthand the damage caused by the cyclone. Principal Administrator Bua Penny Rocco provided an update on the initial assessment carried out so far and the challenges faced by the teams. Rocco says they will target maritime areas first before moving to the mainland. Pranita Prakash reports.
The Prime Minister remains confident Fiji will recover from this situation as we have in the past.
To come and start clearing the provincial council office, number 1 area, so at least they can start going back to normal life, and then they'll start looking at clearing some of the villages. You can see just about all the villages in Bua have took some direct impact from the cyclone. Really sad story.
Infrastructure damage is not really that bad when it comes to bridges, power lines, and other critical infrastructure for government.
Bainimarama is in talks with his Australian counterpart to get the ship HMIS Adelaide to assist in disaster relief efforts. He says the ship will greatly assist us with its state-of-the-art equipment. 6 teams have been deployed to carry out assessment in Buap.
And I've requested for them to be deployed to assess the damages, and I have very clearly said to the teams, we will focus our area only on the damaged houses, completely and partly. The agriculture department to focus on the livestock and crops damages and vegetables. Health, they focus on health and other respective ministries.
Post says they are also facing challenges in reaching out to the districts of Kumbulau and Wainunu in Buap.
Couldn't reach Tikina, Wainunu and Kumbulau because of the crossing at Ramsing, that is at Sawat. So we are yet to survey the 7 villages that comes under the Tikina of Wainunu and the settlements of Wainunu. For the Tikina Kumbulau, there are also 10 villages there. We have to assess that and put in survey.
Minister for Disaster Management Inyasi Ratu says road contractors are working on fixing the Sawani Bridge as it is accessible. The Fiji Roads Authority is also working on clearing the road to Kumbulau from Nambalembale. Pranita Prakash, FBC News.
The Fijian government is taking a swift response to ensure students are well accommodated with the commencement of another school year in 4 weeks. This as many schools have sustained damage due to TCSR, majority of which are in the Northern Division. Details with Josiah Nanunga.
Economy Minister Ayaz Sayed Qayyum says a team from the Construction Implementation Unit is visiting schools to assess how it can be rebuilt.
As you know that we have a very short school term, school holidays I should say. It starts again next month in about 4 weeks' time. So obviously there needs to be some quick solutions to accommodating the students when they come back.
Lekutu Secondary School Acting Principal Agnendra Kumar says it's critical to rebuild classrooms at a standard that can withstand a Category 5 cyclone.
We had requested for some right authorities to inspect these buildings first, give me an approval as to which classrooms can we occupy as evacuation centers, because I do understand that our buildings are not very strong.
At the moment, teachers at the school are in dire need of clean drinking water.
And yes, we are in need of drinking water. The staff were able to get the provisions needed for the aftermath of the cyclone, but the drinking water, it was not stored. Apart from that, our families, I know you are trying to reach out to us, so our message to you is the staff here at Lekutu, we are all safe.
The boys' dormitory was completely damaged, along with school's dining hall, while the main school building, which housed all classrooms, is also destroyed. All 17 teachers' quarters also suffered severe damage. Josai Nanunga, FBC News.
While 28 schools have sustained damages due to Tropical Cyclone Yasa, the Education Ministry says the extent of destruction varies. Education Ministry Permanent Secretary Dr. Angela Jokan says a team from the ministry is still carrying out their assessment.
Initial reports received so far indicates that majority of the primary schools have sustained damages.
A lot of damage, roof is one. Several schools have had their teachers' quarters blown away, libraries, water tanks, some dining areas for the boarding schools. So it's all sorts of, because several of these schools also have had parts built at different times as well. So it would normally be the older parts that.
Dr. Jokon hopes to receive an in-depth report on the damaged schools soon, since the new school year begins in a month.
We'll make some decisions after we have a better assessment of the extent of damage. Like I said, the damage is at various, varying degrees. So where the damage is less, we can make some quick decisions and alternative arrangements. Where the damage is extensive, is where we have to look at how we'll deal with that.
Education Minister Rosie Akbar, who is currently visiting schools in the TC Yasa affected areas, confirms that Lekutu Secondary is one of the badly affected schools.
One of the most hit schools which I've seen so far is Lekutu Secondary, which has about 298 students, and I have a few staff sheltering in the science lab, which is the only building that is standing. We also went up to Draketi Primary, Draketi High, Senganga Central, Senganga Muslim Primary. I mean, these schools have also sustained damages.
Akbar says they will work with the heads of schools and management to decide which schools need quick repairs and which needs to be rebuilt. Pranita Prakash, FBC News.
Attorney General Ayaz Said Qayyum has praised the resilience of people in the Mbua and Maduwata province following the devastation of Tropical Cyclone Yasa. While visiting the ravaged communities and schools yesterday, Said Qayyum says a good number of Fijians have reacted quickly to rebuild and rehabilitate using whatever resources they have while waiting for assistance from the government and other organizations. Josai Nanunga has more.
The optimism shown by these community members struck most government officials during their tour in cyclone-affected areas in parts of Mua and Maduwata yesterday.
It's quite incredible. Some of the people, they're quite displaying a lot of resilience. A lot of people are saying, we've started rebuilding our homes again. Like we said, some people simply need access to water. Some people just are concerned about, for example, the agriculture, the farms, etc. So, different people have different needs, but there's no doubt people have already started rebuilding in their own accord.
Sayed Qayyum confirms many people will be taking shelter at the evacuation centers for some time, considering the extent of damage caused by TC Yasa.
You see some places where all they want is water. Some places want water and also access to, for example, things like tarpaulins. And then there are some people, of course, who are going to stay in the evacuation centers for a little while longer. But the idea is to meet up with them and hear from them what are the issues.
Naibindamu villager Kitione Reikambula says following any disaster, the villagers react quickly to rebuild and rehabilitate, which has strengthened their resilience.
Despite the damages caused by Tropical Cyclone Yasa, we are still thankful that no death reports recorded in the village. We will just make do with whatever little that we have to sustain us for the next few days.
He says 10 homes were destroyed by Tisiasa, while another 10 houses are without roofs or walls. Jose Nuga, FBC News.
Up ahead, Lombui residents share experience. And over 7,700 evacuees remain at various centers.
Hi, I'm Ini from Raki Raki. I love Gold FM, only the classic hits.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.
Residents of Lombui in Boer, while sharing their experience, said they are lucky to have survived the cyclone without major injuries. Around 60 people from the nearby areas took shelter at the Lombui Sanatan Primary School, which also suffered damage. Venina Rakautonga reports.
The residents here started feeling the impact of the cyclone from 5 p.m.
We shouted, screamed, and then we went for help, and then we brought them to the concrete building, that side. And then we stayed there around 6 o'clock. Like these verandas started to break, person by person. And then it went that side. People were screaming, crying, shouting for help. But somehow the other we managed to save them.
Some people who were taking shelter in the school's wooden building were evacuated after a timber fell, nearly injuring a 2-week-old baby. 53-year-old Deo Chand says this is the first time for him to experience a cyclone of this magnitude.
The cyclone lingered for around 4 to 5 hours and the wind was very strong. I urged everyone to pray that the danger passes quickly and no one dies. Even though people lost their homes, they can rebuild it, but lives are important.
Chand says they faced a lot of difficulties bringing the evacuees to the safer part of the school at the height of the cyclone. Venina Rakautonga, FBC News.
There are 183 active evacuation centers across the 4 divisions, with 7,731 evacuees taking shelter. The National Disaster Management Office says only 1 center remains open in the Central Division, housing 8 evacuees. Caroline Tavi has more.
There are 20 evacuation centers in the Eastern Division with 377 evacuees. 133 centers are in the North with 6,331 people taking shelter, and the West has 29 active centers with 1,033 evacuees.
We are requesting the safe return of evacuees. This will continue for the Central, Western and Eastern Division with the assistance of Ministry of Health. Fiji Police Force will continue to provide security at occupied evacuation centers.
SOCO is advising Fijians to remain vigilant as the risk of leptospirosis, typhoid, diarrhea and dengue is high in areas where there was flooding. SOCO is also urging the public to bury their dead livestock immediately to avoid the spread of any disease.
Upon advice from the Ministry of Agriculture, we urge farmers, should you wish to dispose your livestock, please liaise with Ministry of Agriculture in your respective division to advise you proper means of disposing dead livestock.
A team of agriculture officers will leave today to support the northern officers. Carlini Tavi, FBC News.
The Education Ministry says there could be delays in the release of results for the external examinations. Permanent Secretary Dr. Angela Jokan says with disruptions in transportation, particularly from Levu and the Maritime Islands, delays are anticipated in the arrival of exam papers which students have already set. Jokan says the ministry will also provide counselling support to students severely impacted by TCSA.
Our markers have completed their first batch of marking and are currently marking their second batch. They are on standby to receive and mark papers as they arrive. As expected, several of our schools have been damaged, particularly in the North and Maritime Islands. We are receiving reports on the extent of damage and will be working on providing the best support within the resources available to us to ensure that schools can be ready as soon as realistically possible.
Meanwhile, parents and students are advised that if students choose to attend exams on Tuesday and Wednesday, they should go to their respective schools as per the timetable published on the ministry's website and Facebook. Students who are affected by the cyclone and still wish to sit their exams can do so at any exam center convenient to them or as advised by their principals. As the COVID-19 pandemic has had a larger impact on Fijians in Nadi, many are resorting to starting their own business. For young aircraft engineer Charlene Tafunai, this was not the end of the road, but a beginning of a new journey. In tonight's Successful Fijian, we bring you the story of jeweler and crafter Charlene, who has been running her business for 6 months now. Venina Rakautonga reports.
What started off as a hobby became a source of income for 26-year-old Charlene Tafunai, who is now extending her reach outside of Nadi.
I'm usually based in the Nadi Vote City Flea Market, but I thought I'd come and try out the Rock Market today and see what the Suva Market is like. And I found that there's a lot of business here in Suva. I think yeah, it's good here in Suva.
It wasn't an easy feat, starting off little, but with the right people around her, she made it.
One of the challenges would be always trying to create new things, come up with new ideas, and to always try and better yourself so that there's always something fun and new that people can look forward to when they come and visit the shop or the jewelry.
The former Miss Fiji contestant wants to be an inspiration to younger girls.
Probably an inspiration to young girls, especially to my sisters. So when I started my business, then it sort of like pushed them to start their baking business, their cookie business, and also their scrunchie business. So trying to do it so that it can be like a light to the younger generation.
Tafunai says after establishing contacts in Suva, she has more plans in the bag.
Since I just started in June, I've only started with earrings, so I'm hoping to expand to necklaces and bracelets, and also hope to expand my art and craft business as well.
Tafunai has advised young entrepreneurs to grab opportunities with both hands as they come and to always remain positive. Venina Rakautonga, FBC News.
Coming up in sports, local teams eye Super 7 series. And new Fiji Pearls coach to begin work from February. This and more coming up.
I'm Vinal Prakash है, गोल्टन तामो में रहता है और सबको रेडियो फीजी 2 सुने, सबको लाइक करे.
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन.
With the Fiji Rugby Union 7 series set for next year, local teams will be vying to book a spot in the inaugural tournament. Champions Tambandamu is one of the likely teams set to feature in the Super Series. Tambandamu were the winners of the Fiji Bita Mara 7s and Fiji Bita Savusavu 7s and will be the top contender to look out for. Karlaini Tavi has more.
Tambandamu is now preparing for the Fiji Rugby Union 7 series on a whole new level.
We are already buying a spot for that tournament. We are building up. We have a mix of players. We have some new players that we're taking to the Warwick 7. We got some old players.
Tambandamu manager Uleasi Morolalai says their main aim now is ensuring their players have a secure future in rugby.
Our main target is for our team boys to have their future certified to get a job and promote their rugby to the next level.
Fiji National Men's Sevens head coach Gareth Baber says the FRU Super Series will see some of the best local talents competing on one stage for the top spot.
The bit that I need to get right on top of that is potentially looking at how I can take some of those best players and get them regularly playing against each other in a series of tournaments where you can, like the HSBC, you can get to know some of those players.
The men and women series will kick off in January and is similar to the World 7 Series format, where points are awarded and the team with the most points at the end of the series will be declared the winner. Carleni Tavi, FBC Sports.
Newly appointed Fiji Pearls head coach Jenny Brazell will start work on her role by February next year. Brazell brings a lot of experience in all areas of high performance, given her current position with Netball Queensland and Netball Australia. Netball Fiji General Secretary Lucy Rokoura says they've named a solid 25-member training squad that will work closely with the new coach. Rokoura adds the team will march into camp at the end of the month.
By the end of December or early January, and depending on immigration processes, then we hope to get our coach in by February.
Cricket Fiji has stressed that players will be selected on merit for the national team. Chief Executive Alex Conrote says they are liaising closely with the national coach on putting together a team before the new season begins. Conrote is hoping the COVID-19 situation improves come next year so they can get their tournaments up and running. He adds players will need to earn their spot in the national squad, whether they're a veteran or a new player.
And leading up to when they will be selected in the different associations for the Easter tournament. Then following the Easter tournament, it's all down to merit. There are a lot of players right now who've been in the Fiji team the last few years, but we've made it very clear that there's no one that's going to automatically walk into the Fiji team. You earn your way back in.
Everton has won their final league of the season before Christmas, edging Arsenal 2-1 at Goodison Park in Liverpool today. Everton took the lead after 22 minutes with a goal from Dominic Calvert-Lewin, but Arsenal were level 10 minutes before the break with a goal from Nicolas Pepe through a penalty kick. The Gunners barely deserved to be level, and Everton were ahead again on the stroke of halftime when Yerry Mina headed in at the near post from a corner. A west to southerly wind flow prevails over the country. Looking at the west, sun and some clouds with a passing shower or two this afternoon. Eastwards from Pacific Harbour to Suva, mostly fine conditions with intervals of clouds and sunshine. And up north, sunny and pleasant conditions. At sea, south to westerly winds, 15 to 20 knots, moderate to rough seas, moderate easterly swells. Turning to the tides, the next high tide is at 13 minutes past midnight and low tide is at 6:42 tomorrow morning. Sunrise at 5:28. For tomorrow, cloudy periods with brief showers over the southern, eastern parts and interior of the larger islands, Lau and Lomaiviti group, fine apart from possible isolated afternoon or evening showers elsewhere. Looking ahead to Tuesday, slight chance of afternoon or evening isolated showers. Recapping the main stories, PM visits TCSA ravaged areas. Government takes immediate steps for rehabilitation, and AG praises resilience of Moa and Maduata people. For these stories and others, you can tune in daily to our sister radio station, Gold FM. To our poll question, this week we are asking, do you think social media users should be held accountable for the content they upload? Visit our FBC website to answer. You can send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email fbcnews@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via our Facebook and Twitter accounts. That's your news for tonight. Until tomorrow, keep safe and good night.
कुमार साहब ने नाइक है बोम्बो लुबू लटो का रेडियो फीजी 2 में पुराना गाना लगे हमें बहुत अच्छा लगे।
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन।